Okay. Just going to be starting in a minute. If you're on early, feel free to say hey. Let me know who's joining me. And also, make sure that the video quality and the sound quality is okay. But I think it's good. I'm just like always a little bit paranoid because before I kept forgetting like to put my microphone settings back on. But we're going to have some fun today and just mess around with some velvety brushes, and I'm really excited about that. And let me just hide all my screens. Okay. Got a good stream. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. All right, so today I am playing around with some like velvety and gold, like velvety, furry sort of brush effects and just showing you how you can make your own brush. I won't do anything like really creating like a big composition or anything. It's more like behind the brushes. But what's cool is I've already got the files attached. So if you are a subscriber, if you're a Behance subscriber, or if you subscribe to me via Patreon, you can go ahead and download these brushes and kind of play along with me. And I also have this PSD that I created with some demo images that I use to sample the for the mixer brushes, and you'll see more about that later. But it's really fun with the mixer brushes. Like what you can do is to like sample images to create. I'm going to show you how like I use images, sampling images to create these like velvety sort of effects, and it's furry, velvety, and it's really easier than you can imagine. And really we're just letting like the Photoshop mixer brush and the images do the work. But where I got my little image samples from were Unsplash. So they're, free open source images. And also don't forget to don't sleep on Adobe Stock, because Adobe Stock has tons of free images, a really amazing selection. And it comes free if you have like a Creative Cloud subscription, Photoshop, what have you. So definitely take advantage of that. And what's really fun is you can experiment and play, experiment sampling different images to create these sort of effects, and just see what happens. So it gives you like a lot of good ideas. You can have a lot of fun with it. And I'm just going to show you some of the ones that I did. So this is like my little preview image. Let me see our window. Let's see which one I want to do. Window arrange. So first of all, I'm just going to kind of get my little setup here. And we're going to kind of look at the brushes, and then here's my little image palette that I put together. So I'm going to shrink this down, and then I'm just going to show you how I create these effects. But it's kind of fun because you can create like some fun things for, all do all kinds of stuff, but it really gives these like, you can really easily get these dimensional and textural strokes in Photoshop, and it's really not that hard. And so you can just play around, experiment. I've got some really cool effects like the metallic velour, all this kind of stuff. And I notice I'm not streaming on YouTube. It's funny because I noticed that when I stream on YouTube, like there's not a lot of people that, I think my videos get less views. So I think I'm going to upload this afterwards to YouTube. So anyway, just a quick heads up. Yeah, if you're a Behance subscriber, you can go ahead and download these demo files. I've already put that attached to the live stream. And then if you're Patreon, it's in the early access folder. So I'm going to hide this background so that we can see some of these strokes and then like look into these brushes. But I love this velour sort of effect here. And I can add a little drop shadow afterwards, change the color, and then create some sort of like little illustration elements that are very dimensional and very fun. So first of all, I have these are the brushes that I made that you can play around with if you're a subscriber. So the first one is like a metallic velour, and I've got it preloaded, and we're just going to zoom in just a little bit here. But I've got it preloaded with some images because the mixer brush, you can sample from images. It's, you know, you can load multiple colors up in those mixer brush. So when you do that and you select the right image, you can create these really cool dimensional sort of effects. Oh, hey, Gottlieb, super happy to see you online. Yeah, so I'm just going into like kind of behind the scenes of these velvety and furry brushes, and you guys can do some really cool things with them. So I'm going to show you kind of like how I made this brush like this. But as you can see, when you sample the right image, you can create these really like cool velvety dimensional brush strokes and have a lot of fun with that. And one thing that I don't worry about, I find the images, but then I don't worry that this is like a brown color because you can simply change the color by changing the color overlay. So say if I have this brush stroke that I like, color overlay, I'll just change the hue or just color, and now I can make it green or whatever. So not really worried about, you know, whatever color it is. But yeah, so that is the first velvety brush that I created. And also with this one, because I have a normal tip, I can have pressure sensitivity. So I can, you know, use that pressure sensitivity of my Wacom tablet, my pen tablet, and create some really cool brush strokes. So you can have a lot of fun with that. It's really quite cool, and I just love the effects that it can create. So I wanna create some cool, like, I think this will be fun for the holiday season, to be honest, to create some really fun dimensional sort of illustrations and vibes and stuff. But I'm going to go into the brush and just show you a little bit behind the brush and how you can like create your own and everything. So for this, I just have kind of a little soft watercolor tip. But the main thing with the brush strokes to create like a velvety sort of thing is to take the spacing all the way down. So essentially what you're doing with the mixer brush settings is you are, you know, sampling from an image, and then you're just restamping that image over and over and over again really close together. And so when you're doing that, it's easy to create this sort of velvety sort of effect. And if you don't get the effect that you like, or it's not, you know, as dramatic or whatever as you like, you can just resample from a different part of that image and play around with the different effects. But this is the brush. This is like gives you like a really cool kind of metallic velvety sort of feel. Honestly, I could turn off, I have the scattering on. I could turn off the scattering I need, okay, for this. So what I can do, let me just, I'm showing you kind of inside the brush, so if you want to make like your own brushes, you can. I had the texture and transfer on this brushes, but really, I can turn those off and it's the same thing. So I just had that saved on my brush. So essentially, this is just like a watercolor brush tip, or it's just kind of a soft edges, but the tip really doesn't matter with these. And I have the spacing way down, and for this I put the scattering out a little bit and the count up a little bit, and then I can create this cool velvety metallic brush stroke like this. And the reason why also you feel that metallicness in the brush stroke rather than just kind of a pure velvety is because the image that I selected to that I sampled for my mixer brush settings it was kind of like a sequin thing. So over here you can see some of the images that I have sampled, and I made myself a little palette and I put everything on one layer. And this one I have had a lot of success with. This is like a sequiny image. So what you're kind of really looking for to get these textures in the brushes is to look for an image with a lot of like contrast and lights and darks kind of close together. And so that's a real easy way to get that. But, you know, sampling from the photographs, you're going to have different sort of effects and everything. But that's pretty much it. And so the main thing is that the mixer brush settings, usually it's like a dry heavy load. I think this one, yeah, that's the one that I set. So you've got the dry heavy load. So essentially it's just the mixer brush is taking that image that you've sampled, loading it up into the brush and stamping it again and again and again and again. And then you can create this cool velvety effect. And so I can go over here and I'm on my palette layer. I'm going to option click and load up something into that brush. Now this one, it all depends where on the image that you get. So I'm only getting that velvety effect like on the edge because I sampled a lot of dark here. But if I went in a different direction, then you can see, because it's whatever sampled on the bottom here, then we're getting that velvety effect. So if you're doing this on your own, then you can just like resample and move where you sample around a little bit and then play with the effect to get like kind of the velvety look that you're looking for. But as you can see, you can get these really nice, fun, dimensional velvety shapes, and you can add a little drop shadow and it adds a little drama and dimension and have a lot of fun with that. And then you can experiment. So like I have a couple palette files, things that I made, but these images I think were ones that I had gotten from like subscriptions or things like that. So I'm not gonna give you that file, but this palette document that I just put together, you can sample from your own, sample from yourself, because these are all free images like Unsplash and stuff. And so then you can sample images and play around. Like that's super cool. So this is that metallic velour brush, but what I did was I sampled here in this rose petals, but we've got that dramatic sort of difference between that, and so you get this sort of like velvety, you know, silky sort of effect. So that's really fun. And you know, this is cool. You can make lettering like super easy. You can do lots of fun things. So it's really about like experimenting and playing with that. But you feel the direction, you feel the stroke, you feel the fun. So I've already put the brushes in there for you so you can have fun. You don't have to do all the work because I've already put this little palette together for you so you can like have some fun with that and experiment. And then, you know, you can do some cool things for, you know, who knows, like you could do all kinds of things. You could make like a flowers, you could make some velvety flowers, you know, have some fun with that. I think that's like super fun. So lots of different possibilities. So I love just sampling from different photographs and just see what comes out. This one looks a little bit more kind of satiny. I think that's quite cool. And again, if you don't like the color, then you can just recolor it. But I don't bother to recolor my images. It's more like seeing if the effect is the kind of effect that I want to create. So that's super fun. And yeah, I think you can just build up some really cool illustrations. One of the tips that I wanted to tell you is that if you're not getting the effect that you want or something, one thing you can do is like if you've got the palettes over here, sometimes if you're working over a bigger image and you sample, load those colors up by option clicking, load those colors up in your mixer brush, it's very homogeneous here. And so you could get a preview of what color you have lifted up into your brush here. And it could be a little less like maybe the effect that you're wanting, which this is very velvety, very velour, I would say. But if you wanted a little bit more dramatic, what you could do is go to your image and then like reduce that you're sampling from, reduce the brush size by clicking the left bracket a few times, option click and re-click, and then get like sample from that image again, but then we're kind of like zooming in on an area. And then sometimes, and then if you right click a couple times again and take that brush size back up, then you might have a little bit more dramatic sort of effects. But one thing that I will caution you is I wouldn't go change the brush size down too much and then sample and then up and then scale that brush back up, because it could look a little pixelated because you are selecting pixels. So that's just a little tip about, you know, that brush and playing around and sampling and stuff. But I love like anything that's got like a sequin on it. I find that that's like a good thing to sample sample from. Let me get down here. That like gives you a very, it's not just a velvety, but it's also like a metallic velvety effect. And I think that that can be really cool. So you can get all those cool dimensional brush strokes like that. So that's a little tip. Look for some like sequiny images and you can have like a lot of fun. And yeah, I think I want to make something like, I think for the holidays, I think I'm on to like a fun sort of thing here with this sort of a metallic little like a Christmas branch sort of thing. So I think that that could be really fun for the holidays. And again, if you don't like, the color doesn't really matter. You know, this is more just getting the effect. What you can do is just simply double click on your layer and add a color overlay. And to not lose any of the like details in the brush, I usually, rather than putting it on color, I put it on hue. And then you know, you can grab some color from the, you know, the document or whatever to match. Let me just click OK. Color. It can be cool too. Sometimes it just depends on the brush stroke and what you're trying to affect. That's color and that's hue. But yeah, sometimes you lose some of the details or it's a little more dramatic if you have color. So, and also you can take down the, like here is a more lighter red and then here is a darker red, and you know, you can see what happens. But just play with it and see what kind of effect you like. But the color overlay is an easy way to just, you know, recolor that layer. And so yeah, so that's you've got 2 of those brushes already included. So the metallic, let me turn off my background. I think you can see the strokes better. The metallic velour and then the metallic velour pressure sensitive. So you can get those gorgeous, even though this is kind of a poopy brown, but those gorgeous cool brush strokes and have some fun with that illusion of depth. So that's those. And also then I have a couple of these kind of a boa or fur sort of brush strokes. And, but I will tell you for these, if you're just using a mouse, it's not going to have the same effect. So one thing that I definitely recommend is that you have the, even if you get like a $35 to $50 entry-level pen tablet, like a Wacom tablet is one of the best things that you can do for, even if you don't think you're an illustrator, you're just doing this for fun or whatever. I've had so many people message me that when they got into like the Photoshop brushes that they got a tablet and it was like such a game changer for them. So I've had lots of people tell me this. So this is the next brush that I'm giving is a boa. It's a boa sort of brush, and this one is actually fun. It's taking advantage of the the bristle brush engine, the Photoshop bristle brush engine, which I've actually, it's kind of underutilized, but I've used it recently in my glitch core brushes and even in my gold play brushes. But let's just kind of look at the brush settings here. So here is my brush settings. And then the shape dynamics, I don't think, oh yeah. The shape dynamics is important to get this. If you want to get a furry effect, you want the angle jitter to be going on. So you want it to like be the angle of the brush always going, because that gives you that sort of effect with that brush. Hey, Dushyun, anyway, hopefully I got your name right. So so we've got the angle jitter going on to get that really furry sort of boa effect. And like if I turn that on, or let's see, if I turn that off, you can see you don't get the sort of that same sort of effect. So you want all those bristles in the bristle brush engine to be like spinning around. So we've got that angle jitter for that shape dynamics, and there we get that really cool effect. And also, again, I will tell you that I am using the Photoshop mixer brush with the dry heavy load settings. That's the key for this velour or furry sort of effect that we want to get. And yeah, so we've got the shape dynamics, angle jitter is like, all the way. We've got a little scattering on, so, and I've taken the count up. So you got a little scatter, both axes, the count's up, because if not, it will be like less. You're still getting a little bit of a bow effect, but then I take that scattering back up, and there it's just taking all those bristle dots and stuff and kind of making them bigger. So that is something that you can have a lot of fun with and create these gorgeous sort of furry effects, and you can make dimensional lettering. I'm doing an L, like this is how I'm like always doing an L for a demo of lettering, because I have like nay lettering skills so much. So that's like the easiest one to get, but you can have a lot of fun with that. You could put a little, it looks almost like rendered, but it's not, it's just a brush. And you could put a little shadow here and make it look a little more three-dimensional or something. But yeah, I think these things could be cool to create some sort of like fun things for the holidays. That's kind of where my mind is going right now. But that is like a kind of a furry boa one. And then I took that same boa brush, but I sampled a metallic, like a metallic image. And so after I sampled that, I'm going to zoom in because this is too pretty. So if you sample a metallic image, you can get a really cool sort of brush stroke like this. And I think it's just gorgeous. This is actually kind of similar to one of my gold play brushes, to be honest. But you see, it's just kind of taking that image. If I just make a dot, you can see what it's doing. So it's putting down some of that image and it's just restamping it, but you can get really gorgeous sort of brush strokes there. So lots of fun. And yeah. And oh, I don't have so many people online today, boo. But I think this is a fun one. I think hopefully a lot of people will, my newsletter and stuff will catch it on the replay, but I love that. And so again, I'm thinking holiday. I'm thinking it's going to be soups fun for that. You could do some lettering. You could make some illustrated Christmas tree and use this as the, as like some garland. You can have a lot of fun with that. So that's that one. That's the boa. And then this is a similar one using the bristle brush engine. Okay, and I'm going to turn off the background so we can see it here. And this one is just slightly different settings, so you can just like, if you want to have some fun, you can play with those settings, play with these aren't anything right or wrong, so it's just changing the shape of the bristle brush, playing with the thickness, playing with the angle, all of that. You can see my settings here, or if you're a subscriber, download the brush and just look into it. But a lot of the people that follow me, they like, they like that I make the brushes and stuff, and they like to play with them. But sometimes they want to kind of get into the brushes or make their own for, their own projects and stuff. So that can be a lot of fun. So this one's very fine fur. I've got the bristles, maybe the thickness down, way down. And again, for the shape dynamics on that brush, I've got an angle jitter and then a little bit of scattering with a higher count. That count is on 7. So if I took it down, where it's not going to look as thick and luscious, so we take it up to 7, and then we're getting that thick effect. And because I changed that brush a little bit, it dropped out the color that was already preloaded in there, and then took whatever is the last color that I sampled. Yeah. Oh, Sylvie. So these brushes are, no, these are new. I've got them available right. Well, actually, they're not that new because I was playing around with these brushes, honestly, years and years and years ago, and I always meant to like kind of make a collection of them, and I never did. But right now they're available. I just have them for subscribers. Behance subscribers, you can download them right now. Patreon, they're in the instant access folder. But I kind of wanted to go into how they work and how you can make them even yourself too. Now, and then maybe I'll make them into like a ready-made pack, but they're not on my store right now. So this is like kind of the first time I'm actually getting into this technique and kind of showing how you can make these cool dimensional sort of brush strokes and stuff. So yeah, but thank you so much for popping on, because I'm like, sometimes when I don't have a lot of like questions or anything like that, I feel like I'm talking to, I don't know, it's like sometimes I'm like, what? So anyway, it makes it more fun for me. But yeah, so that's the fine fur brush, and it's got a dry heavy load like all of these. That's the whole key to that sort of effect. And then you can, I think I had sampled from a rose image, so I'm going to sample from this one and just see how it looks. So every time you sample a image, it's going to look different. And of course, like I said, you can always recolor it. So I really don't worry about what color that comes out. I just put a color overlay on. But of course, if you're sampling from an image that's darker, you're going to get a darker brush stroke, and you're maybe not going to see so many of those details. So this one, oh, this is really pretty. This is that fine fur brush. Let me just zoom in. But look at because I sampled from this Unsplash photo. It's like a tinsel. It's a wintry tinsel. So you get those lovely flecks of like that color and that iridescence from that photograph. So sampling from photographs is really fun. So I've just like, what I love to do is I have just one of these brushes. Okay, that's kind of ugly. Is just play around and sample from different images and see what comes out. So, and also one important thing, like say if I sample and I'm like, oh, I'm not getting that much of an effect, a furry effect with this brush. Well, it's because I'm going from top down. So you kind of look at what's sampled on the top of that little sample window there, and that's more what you're going to see. So that's the darker thing. But then if you go from the bottom up, it's going in a different direction, and it's like kind of what you're seeing is more this side of the brush or this side of the sample, so it can give you a different effect. So it's all about playing around with it and finding the, finding a good image to sample from, or also just moving where you sample on the image. So let's go over here, option click, and like sample in a different part of the image, and then let's see here, and then it's going to look different. So it's fun to play around, it's fun to experiment, and I'm giving myself a big pat on the back because today I actually have these the brush is already attached to my file before I actually started. So I'm like, well done me. Well done me. Anyway, because I'm trying to bring a lot of like value to my members and people that support me on the subscriptions and stuff, but also too, I don't want to like gatekeep any ideas, so I'm happy to like make all of my to make these techniques and share them, because even if you aren't a subscriber or whatever, you know, you can understand the technique a little bit more and just play around with it. So, you know, so kind of share that. This one I think is my favorite to this image, which is like a sequiny image. Although that one doesn't look so good here. I might need to make my brush smaller. Option click. I want to get some like more drama. Let me make my brush bigger. It's like a little bit better. So here you can see here. Have some fun with that. But what's really makes these sort of nice is to add a little bit of a drop shadow. You could add like a texture background like I have there. But really most of the time a little bit of a drop shadow will really make it feel quite dimensional. And then that fine fur, or that fine fur brush that I just made, one thing that's like, one thing that's really, I just sampled is so pretty. This brush is so pretty, which this is actually a bit like the gold play, to be fair. It's not so, but this one isn't in my gold play collection, but gold play you can really do, you can do any brush and load it with gold and play around with it. But this brush I think is so pretty. So this is my fine fur brush, but I loaded it with gold from this like image of a crumply gold leaf. So I thought that was so pretty. And like when you zoom in, it's like you have that furry, but it's like you have these little flakes of gold that are still inside of that brush stroke. And I just think it's gorge. Like that one just looks so pretty. And yeah, wait, where's my, I thought I made a green background here. Hold on, let me duplicate this. But I'm totally thinking for the holidays we can do some really fun things here. Like with this one, or maybe like do, oh, wait, why is this dark? Why is this darker? Oh, maybe because it's got, oh, no. Oh, probably because I changed the brush size. Yeah, because if you change the brush size, it'll drop whatever you had, whatever color you had loaded into the brush. Could make something like this, some accents. I don't know. You can do a lot of fun things for the hauls, the holiday. But I just thought that that brush turned out so gorge. Rope, it's kind of ropey, it's furry, it's got that gold. So have fun, play around, load up these brushes with, you know, whatever you like and see what comes out of it. So every time is different. But the real trick is sampling from images just can give you some really, really cool textures. So all the time I just love sampling and seeing what happens. So I'm sampling from a different image and see what occurs. Let me sample from one of my, like what is that, oyster sort of thing. Ooh, that's so pretty. It's furry, it's iridescent. Didn't think that those two things go together, but kind of does. And yeah, so it is always a crapshoot, and you just don't know how the brush is gonna, you can get an idea, but here I like a lot of like ones that are like maybe sample like carpet if you want to get a real velvety effect. That's quite cool. I think it could be cool to make some like sort of flowers with this. Um, you know, playing with that dimensionality. It's like wild, it's different. Maybe even putting a clipping mask. Oh, I don't know. Do something fun. It'd probably be, okay, I'm just freestyling it here, but it probably looks better if you put like a little bit of a drop shadow or something like that. And with the dimensionality, kind of a drop shadow can make it look cool. So you can, you know, it's kind of a new vibe for um, maybe a new illustration style. You know, I think I could do some cool things for the holidays with this. So that is mainly it. So here you have like a couple of the brushes and uh, the three different brushes that I included. But also one of the things that I did here, just to show you how I created this little um, thing, is that so this is just two parts. I made these in separate parts. So this was like that first velour brush, and I just created this little sort of you know, holly or mistletoe sort of thing. And I did add a little bit of a bevel and emboss, but I kind of think it looks actually better without it. So really just change the color overlay and the drop shadow. So see if I take off the color out overlay, when I originally drew this, it was in blue. But anyway, put the color overlay, and then the same thing. I use like the same brushes. I think I'll turn off the bevel and emboss, but it's got a red color overlay. And hold on, the red color overlay, it's set to color. You could also set to hue, but okay, in this case, color looks better. So we'll click OK. And then I just thought it would be pretty to accent it with some little, like a starry brush with the Celestial Gold Mines layer style. So I think that that could be a fun aesthetic to create, like maybe some, maybe create some sort of Christmas illustrations and stuff. I think it's neat. You know, you don't see anything like that out there. So I love to create things that are different. But I think that that's pretty much it. What are we at? 2:09. Okay, I didn't do, it was only 40 minutes today, so not too long. I'm glad I kept it pretty short. But I think that, you know, if you go through it or whatever, if you missed the first part of it, you can check it out. But you've got the kind of foundations for creating a furry brush, or you can just use mine, Furry Velvety Velour. And also, oh, thank you so much, Gotta Leave. Yes, good for Christmas, right? I think so. I think it's really fun. But also, let me know if you're if you follow me, if you like newsletter subscriber. I'm curious if I should put this out as maybe a mini brush collection. So maybe I'll expand this and put a little mini brush collection out and have it on my site and also for subscribers. So, but of course, for my Behance subscribers, for my Patreon subscribers, you guys get everything first, and or little sneak peek. So I've got the brushes already available to download. So feel free to get the download on. And then if not, make them, you know, hopefully you got the tips to make them yourself. So that's the vibe for today. And thank you so much, Sylvie, for popping on, and Good to Leave, and Dushyant. And yeah, so that was good. Kind of a quiet stream today, but hopefully it's something useful. And yeah, so tomorrow is my last stream of the week, and we'll see what I'm going to do. I don't know. Thank you so much, Sylvie. Have a great day. All right, everybody have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next time, okay? See you. Oh, thank you so much, Elena. Cute.